All right, let's dive into tiny homes in the US, a movement that's no longer niche but a growing answer to some of America's toughest housing challenges. What started as a quirky subculture has now become a serious part of the housing market, driven by rising costs, sustainability goals, and a cultural shift away from excess. The market itself is booming. Last year, the global tiny homes industry was worth around $22 billion. Yeah. By 2033, it's expected to hit nearly $30 billion, growing at a steady pace. North America leads the way, holding more than 40% of that market. It's no surprise when a traditional US home averages $260,000 and a tiny home sits closer to $52,000, people start paying attention. That's an 87% cost difference. For many, it's the only realistic path into ownership. But cost isn't the only driver. These homes use about 7% of the energy of a normal house and 80% less water. They generate far less waste, too. For eco-conscious buyers, that's a huge pull. And culturally, the movement speaks to a desire for less clutter, less debt, and more freedom. Millennials, retirees, and everyone in between are choosing tiny homes as a way to focus on experiences instead of stuff. Why do people really buy into this? Freedom! Financially, tiny homes cut the cost of living dramatically. Over 80% of tiny homeowners carry less debt than the average American, and more than half have higher savings. With lower expenses, people can redirect money into travel, hobbies, or early retirement. Environmentally, they slash emissions, producing just a fraction of the CO2 of a standard house. And emotionally, the small footprint forces simplicity. Owners often say they feel lighter, freer, and more fulfilled. The history runs deeper than most realize. Early ideas appeared in the 1970s, but the late 90s gave rise to real momentum with pioneers like Jay Schaefer. After the 2008 financial crash, the movement exploded, offering an alternative dream, less debt, more freedom. Then came the wave of media coverage. Documentaries, TV shows, and endless YouTube tours that brought tiny homes into mainstream vocabulary. On the financial side, costs vary. Building one typically runs $30,000 to $70,000. Custom builds can go as high as $140,000, while prefab kits start as low as $4,000. But the home itself is just part of the bill. Land can cost thousands, permits another one to $2,000, and utility hookups anywhere from a few hundred to several thousand. Going solar off-grid runs between $3,000 and $9,000. Airbnb listings for tiny stays are the fastest growing category. Specialized communities for retirees and minimalists are on the rise, and the flexibility of using tiny homes for backyard suites, offices, and rental units makes them an appealing commercial play. Looking ahead, the market will keep shifting from mobile to stationary builds. Prefab technology is improving, making homes cheaper and faster to build. Cities are slowly rewriting codes to embrace higher density and smaller footprints. Investors, homeowners, and policymakers all have roles to play in shaping how the movement evolves. Tiny homes are more than just small houses. They're financial freedom, their sustainability, their community, and they're forcing us to rethink what home really means.